My next source joining us tonight worked on national security at the State Department and the Pentagon. He is now a Democratic senator representing New Jersey, Senator Andy Kim. Thank you, Senator, for being here. In your view, is the ceasefire still in place tonight?
No, I mean, I think right now we're seeing just the total chaos and the mess that is being done. I mean, look, if you're sinking more ships than you have had diplomatic talks, this is not a ceasefire. Right now they are not investing in the diplomacy, not investing in the talks, not investing in the work that is needed to be able to get a deal. And instead, you see Donald Trump down at his golf resort, hosting a golf tournament there, while Americans are seeing their gas prices going through the roof. I mean, we're seeing the latest estimates, over $32 billion more spent by Americans since the beginning of this war on gas and diesel. I mean, this is something that's crushing so many families.
Do you blame the Iran or U.S., though, for breaking the ceasefire?
Well, look, I think, first of all, the fact that we're even in this situation where we are so much worse off than we were 2 months ago, where the Strait of Hormuz is continuing to be closed, and the president just continuing to declare that he won, declaring that we got everything that we need, we're holding on the cards. I mean, he's just blatantly lying to the American people on this front. So look, I mean, right now, what we need commitment to diplomacy and find a way to end this war immediately. Otherwise, I was just back in New Jersey talking to so many families there. One woman was telling me about her family's struggles, and she's hearing about all the different things going on with this war, and she just turned to me and she said, "What about us? What are we supposed to do? Having trouble being able to pay the bills. I mean, 40% of Americans can't handle a $400 emergency right now, yet they're seeing the gas prices go up and up and up. I mean, this is something where, we need to make sure that we're finding that off-ramp right now."
Do you think gas will hit $5 a gallon?
I think it could very well. And the problem here is it's not just about where it's going to peak, but the fact that this is going to go on for quite some time. I mean, just the sheer amount of infrastructure that's been destroyed in the region, the disruptions to shipping, which is going to take months to be able to get back on track. I mean, this is something that is going to be long-term damage.
There's a quote from the president today at the White House. As he's talked about this war, he's called it several different things. And there was this quote from the president today, a description of the war, a new description, I guess I should say, because I don't think I've heard him describe it this way before. Listen to what the president said today.
So we did a little detour, and it's working out very nicely. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. They have no radar. They have no nothing. Our country's booming now, despite the fact that we're in I call it a mini war, because that's all they are.
Would you describe this, Senator, as a mini war?
No, and despite, the president finding a thesaurus, this is not something that the American people find funny. I mean, look, we're at 66 days in this war. That's actually longer than the 91 Gulf War in terms of when Kuwait was liberated. 66 days is actually longer than the amount of time that George W. Bush took to declare mission accomplished. And we saw what happened after that. We're in a similar place with Trump here, where, he is basically declaring victory, mission accomplished, saying that we hold all the cards, but we don't know how this is going to end. And we have thousands and thousands of service members. I mean, just the other day, they announced this new project, Project Freedom. I don't know if you saw, Kaitlan, the CENTCOM release on that. 15,000 service members are a part of this project. That is meant to bring vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. The vast majority of these vessels, not American vessels. And so we're risking U.S. service members. How long is that going to go on for? And again, to the woman that I talked to in New Jersey, what about us? We're giving all this relief to all these vessels. Again, many of them not American ships. What about us? What is the American people going to feel about this? So this is a long time, and it's well beyond time for Congress to be able to act, but we just continue to see just this abdication of leadership from Republicans in Congress, just continuing to let Donald Trump defile and disgrace our Constitution and continue with this illegal war.
Do you think at some point that the Senate will vote on this war?
Well, I hope so. But first and foremost, I just need to point out that is not how our Constitution works. This is not a situation where a president can start a war and then it's up to Congress to stop it. So, he should have sought permission and approval. I mean, what I talked about in the 91 Gulf War, the 2003 Iraq War, even after 9/11, George W. Bush came to Congress for approval, even after our country was so brutally attacked on 9/11.
But your colleague, Rick Scott, we had him on the other night, and he was saying the president doesn't need to come to Congress for authorization of this. We were talking to him on the 60-day mark of this war on Friday, or on Thursday, right before it happened. What do you say to him?
Well, I would say, again, let's look at the wording of the oath that we swore when we came in as senators. We swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, not to protect and defend a president, not to protect and defend a political leader. This is about our Constitution. This is about the American people who are struggling right now, and I'm sure that the people down in Florida are struggling as much as the people in New Jersey and elsewhere. When we see these sky-high costs and everyone wondering why aren't we focused on them and the costs and the challenges that Americans are facing instead of just starting these wars that are costing tens of billions of dollars. When we saw the price tag from the Department of Defense, and as I said, also seeing $32 billion and rising of what Americans have paid more in gas and diesel just in the last 2 months.
Senator Andy Kim, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight.
Thanks so much.